Got to do a lot of talking.
Okay.
Okay, so here we are again. Chapter 9. Okay, so I have a lot underlined and highlighted, but I don't want to jump ahead of you because I know you have different things. The only reason why I'm gonna say this is only because it's the beginning of the chapter. I just wanted to point this out. On the possessor. Remember in the beginning of the book, I said I think one of them would be Baal. I
Yeah,
think I
you
was,
did say
yeah.
that. You
For
did say
yep.
that.
So, yeah. I'm like, yeah,
How did you
okay. I
know
was
that? What
kind of
made you think that?
because I don't know per se, but I always link Baal with the other lady. I forgot her name.
Jezebel?
No, not Jezebel. Jezebel as well. Jezebel, but there's another name for her that they called her. Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. But anyway, so
Mm,
that's basically like sexual immorality. And I know
okay.
like that's rampant in like a day and age like this.
Yeah.
And basically sex is what, is controlling everything. Everything is sexual. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I kind of linked it to that. I said Baal and maybe her. I forgot her name. I know Sister Regina would have remembered it like that quick. But yeah, so her. That's why I linked it to that. But
Oh
we'll see
wow.
who the other one is. So when I read chapter 8 though, it did say that one of them is a mystery.
Okay.
One of them is the possessor, and they didn't mention the other one, so we'll see. But anyway, it says he was the king. So the possessor, which is Baal, right? He was the king of gods, leader of spirits, and he would become the chief enemy of the God of Israel. Um, that was in the beginning. And then I just want to read what I had highlighted in this page. And it says he was called Baal, chief god of the Canaanite pantheon. His name can be translated as Lord, Owner, and Master. The Bible speaks of both Baal and the Baalim or the Baals. He was one and at the same time many. I think that was like really good because we see different ones and we're not thinking that they're all like connected. And
Mm-hmm.
then for the title that says the alternate God, it says it was not long after the Israelites settled in the promised land that they began turning away from God. So that's what I had highlighted that I thought was like interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, I had something similar highlighted. I also highlighted the second paragraph where they said Lord of Rain, Master of the Waters, the Clouds, and the Lord of Storms. Once they kind of
Hmm.
said that, I kind of knew who they were talking about. Because like I said a couple things ago, I used to know, like in school we learned a lot about that, like the Greek
Right.
gods and stuff. So I kind
Hmm.
of already knew who they were talking about. But I thought I also where did I underline? Oh, omnipresent deity. I thought that was weird because I thought that only God was omnipresent, was like omnipresent,
Which
omniscient,
where were
and
you? Where are you here in that? Where did you see
the
that?
under the master, it's the last sentence.
Okay, it
It
says he
says,
was called da 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 whatever. Among the other. Even families had their own personal balls, clay figurine idols of the omnipresent deity. Hmm.
so I thought
Let me
people
read that
said
again.
that
Even
the
families.
devil couldn't be everywhere. Well, not that's not the devil, but they're talking about
Like, I
Baal.
mean, demonic presence can be. I mean, demonic presence is everywhere all the time. Um, I think they were more talking about I think what they were saying, I'm not sure, but I'm going to look into it. I think what it's trying to say when I read that is more so like it was so popular and everybody had it.
Like
Everybody had it
prevalent,
in their
yeah.
house. Yeah, so it was everywhere. Like if you looked prior, it was talking about different. Well, Baal was like the epitome, like the guy, the pantheon, like it said. And then there was
Mm,
like different smaller versions of him everywhere, all kinds of different ones from like Greek Roman culture. I think I had it because I looked it up, so and it had a breakdown of it.
mm-hmm.
It was like Greek Romans, like everybody had their different version of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's basically what they were talking about. That's what I believe. I'm gonna look
Okay.
into it, but that's what I got from it when I read that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay. I see what you mean. It's like giving emphasis to the fact that, like you said, he was so
it was
prevalent
everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah.
Right, right,
That's crazy.
right. Because they said, remember, their whole thing was to show you how much of a like a, a god he was, or
Yeah.
is, or whatever. Like how he was the guy, the top guy that everybody fell under. So I think that's what it was. So and it says the alternate God when he said it was not long after the Israelites settled in the promised land that they began turning away from God. I think there's a verse after that says, then the
Mm.
children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served the Baals. It's crazy because this book basically opened up the Bible to me like a history book, because you
Yeah.
hear all these things, but you're actually seeing it in history that
Yeah.
actually happened.
Right.
And it says, and they forsook the Lord of God of their fathers, and had brought them out of the land of Egypt. And they followed other gods from among the gods of the people who were all around them, and they bowed down to them.
Mm-hmm.
Next, it says, this I had highlighted, and I wanted to ask you if you get the same thing that I got from it. It says, Baal promised the Israelites fertility, fruitfulness, increase, gain, and prosperity. What came to your mind when you read that?
Um, just first reading it, I would say those are things that maybe people like struggle with. I don't want to say idolize, but maybe struggle with like things like fertility, increased gain, prosperity. That kind of reminds me of things that people kind of, I would say, pray for or want the most.
I think the first thing you had right, that's what I got, was like
Yeah.
idolizing. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
it's
Yeah.
everything is selfish. So fertility
Yes.
back then and in these cultures are looked at as like riches.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they rule.
Yeah.
The more kids they have, the more they territory, the more they rule. Um, and then on top of that, not even like sexual immorality.
Right.
So like fruitfulness, increase of gain and prosperity. It's like it's all rooted in self.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think you had it right when you said like idolizing. That's what came to my mind. It's like self, 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 self.
Yeah.
Nothing giving, nothing to make anybody else better or help anybody. And it's kind of where we're at now. Like the Bible says, in the last days they would become lovers of themselves. What's your thoughts?
Mm.
Did you have anything highlighted in that area?
Well, now that you had mentioned idolatry, I recently was watching this sermon with Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell. I don't know if you're familiar
Hmm.
with him, but
Hmm.
he was kind of talking about idolatry and towers in our heart and how the enemy will kind of use that against us. Like you said, it's about self-gain, right? So if that's like your focus, that's what you idolize in your heart, the enemy will use that against you and almost like weaponize it in a way.
Mm,
And that kind of reminds me of that.
yeah, interesting. So then at the did you have anything else? Because I'm at the end of that paragraph, like almost going to the end. It says it was over the worship of Baal that the prophet Elijah rose up against the apostate king Ahab and his
Hmm.
co-regent. Jezebel.
That's good. Yeah.
And I think it's so cool how they connect it, because you're not thinking that. You're not thinking like, it connects it for you, just like he connected the demon that was following Paul. Was it Peter?
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting how he connects that. So basically, back then when all that was happening, that was the god that they were worshiping, basically, which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And it says at the last, it says years after the nation's destruction, the scriptures would cite Israel's worship of Baal as central among the reasons for their calamity. No other deity was so connected to Israel's falling away from God and its subsequent destruction as was Baal.
Wow. That's
So
crazy.
basically, that's the deity, the demon, that the pagan god that Israel so battled with back and forth over the years of like following God and then coming back and saying, oh, and then leaving God and then worshiping all these idols and then saying, coming back to God and saying, I'm sorry, and back and forth all those years. I never really thought, I never really sat and really tried to connect, like, who was that?
Yeah.
And this
Me
kind of helped
neither.
you.
But now that I think back, Bob, I feel like he was mentioned a lot in the Old Testament. I feel like he was mentioned frequently. Now that I think about it.
Right. It's right there,
Yeah, but I
but we
never
never
made the
really
connection
connected
like,
it. Right, right.
yeah, because I feel like when people even talk about Israel and, you know, their heart posture and stuff like that, like you throughout the Old Testament, you keep seeing the same cycle that they're in. It's like one minute they're for God and then they turn their back and they're for God and it's like the whole Old Testament. But I never
Yeah.
noticed like kind of who was behind that.
And reading on, like, it's crazy how they're gonna basically, because Israel was a rich nation. Israel is a blessed nation, a nation that was under God, and then connected it to basically America being a blessed nation and a nation under God that
Yeah.
turned their back on God, that once was for God and then turned their back on God. And I think that's why I think, like, it's crazy how they connected Israel with America, because we are one of the most richest,
Yeah.
powerful nations in the world.
Yeah.
So there is importance in that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but did you have anything highlighted in the rest of this chapter?
Um just the Baal and Zeus part where he
I was
connected it
gonna
to
say that
Zeus.
too.
That
Right.
kind of was like mind blowing for me because he
Why?
brought up proof, and this is like this is an ancient Nabatean text. So I thought that was really interesting because I went to go look it up because he's using because the Bible is truth, but he's using outside sources
Resources.
to prove
Right.
that it's true, which adds to the
Hmm.
truth because it's not only believers who seeing that this is
Right.
people,
Like
historians who are
historical,
saying,
other historical texts. Yeah.
yeah. So I thought that was really interesting
Which
how he
one?
made
You
the
you mean
connection.
the they regarded as God, the Lord of Heaven, calling him
Yes.
Belshazzar? Okay, which
Hmm.
is in the Phoenician language, Lord of Heaven, and in the Greek, Zeus. Do you know? Did you look it up? What text was that taken from?
It's in the back of the book. Let me see. What chapter is this?
It's chapter 9.
Yeah. It's oh gosh. It's a hard to pronounce name, but it's Eusebius Per-
Eusebius.
Paratio Evangelica. It looks like it's in another language.
So if anybody wants to look that up, just for like anybody that's watching, because I see we have a couple people that's on watching.
Oh,
If
okay.
you want to look that up, say it again.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look for it. Oh, I
It's
see it. Oh, yeah.
Eusebius prepare and
Hmm.
it was written in 1903 by a historian named Gifford.
Yeah, I see it. Okay. Oh my
So
gosh, that's a lot.
crazy.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And I was looking, it says Cy Syriac. Am I saying that right? I think they're talking about like Syria writers, Syriac
Yeah,
writers,
probably.
referred to Belshazzar as Zeus Apollos. So they're basically separating. Remember, I was telling you that it's basically the same God, just different areas. So it
Yeah.
separated that. So that was like Syria. Am I saying that right?
So
Yeah.
Syriac?
Yeah, like Syria. So they're talking
Oh,
about
okay.
Syria. In
Yeah.
Syria, the writers referred to him as Belshazzar. As
Wow.
Zeus Apollos, both gods appeared as idols standing in the same position, with arms lifted up. You remember seeing all this stuff?
Yes.
Like even in when you go to like social studies class and you see the like the little clay figurines and all this stuff like that
Yeah.
in the superheroes movies, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
It says with arms ready to hurl and thunderbolt to the earth. Zeus was presented as Zeus Belus and Jupiter as Jupiter Belus, which could be translated respectfully as Zeus Baal and Jupiter Baal. I think one of them was, I think it
Wrong.
says it. It says, and so when the gods were cast out of the Greco-Roman world, Baal Shaman
Yeah.
or Jupiter Belus was one of the exiled deities.
Yeah.
So one
So
of them
like,
was Greek and
mm-hmm.
Roman and girl, I can't say it all of a sudden.
Syrian.
Syria. Yes, yes.
It yeah, like so um Zeus and Jupiter are the same. They're like the same person in Greek mythology,
Hmm.
but Jupiter is like his almost like his alter ego in a sense. It's like his Roman
Mm,
side. So it's the same god, but it's like the
I
Roman
didn't
side
know
of it.
that.
Yeah. But they have
So it's like
all of
I
the
know it's
gods have
literal, but I'm just like
yeah,
also it's literal.
alternative like
Oh,
changing
really?
faces basically. Same person but changing
Hmm.
faces. Yeah. And
Wow.
I wonder if like Greek mythology, like if you go back far, and I wonder what it's like rooted in because like where does it come from?
I mean, if you trace it back, it was basically, if you trace it way, 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 way back, it was basically the Israelites and their and the paganism, like the
Mm,
devil. It was rooted basically in demonic entities and imagination of people that just created gods. Well, and I don't want to say created gods because there's demonic presence behind it. So just like you see, and this is my opinion, maybe I should do some digging on it, but it's like, you know how you see these movies out now and you're just like, how did you even get that? Like, where did you even fathom to do
mm-hmm.
something like that? Or like over the years, you're just like, where did you? The devil had to put that in your mind, like
Yeah.
had to like give you that because there's no way. And I feel like that's how it happened. Just like the devil went to Eve in the garden, it's the same thing. So he just
Yeah.
kept working the same way and
Yeah.
created himself to be a god, a deity, created things for them to worship, to idolize and put before God, basically. And that's
Wow.
my opinion. I have no proof, but I feel like, I mean, I studied into it a little bit and I know these things came prior to Christ, and they were worshiping these things and stuff like that. But the only thing is I don't know how far back it started. that I
Yeah.
that I would have to like look into. But anyway, so at the end of this chapter, it says, so if Baal was the god of the turning away, the god of the falling, the apostasy god, what would happen if he returned to the modern world? What would happen if he came back to possess the nation and civilization? What would happen if Baal came to America? And the crazy thing is, like, why would he come to America? I thought about it, like, why do we centralize everything on America? And I'm just gonna be
Yeah.
honest, everybody wants to be like Americans.
Yeah.
Everybody want to
It's
come
like
over
one of the
here.
world powers. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And if they can affect, if they he could infiltrate here, then he gets his way into the world in every other place. And that's so
Yeah.
true. When I even look at my where I came from, the island I came from, it changed so
Mm-hmm.
much. All
Yeah.
I would say the pureness of it, and you would think that they had a little bit more, like, I don't want to say morals per se, but like, weren't into the things like, America is into, and it's not true because they so want to be like America that now they're
Mm-hmm.
accepting the same things, the same gods. I
Yeah.
seen this year, like last week, they had uh ABCDEFG parade, and I was like, what? In
What?
my country, yeah, the island that I came from, I was shocked. I said, oh, I would never think that they would actually do that, like have a whole parade and have like a
Yeah.
full, like, parade of people, like, how do you say it, like supporting that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you would think, okay, those people are, nah, they would be the last people because of how we were raised and how I just know our culture to be. But because it's okay here, and because it's, oh, fight for your rights and all this stuff, now it's just like the
Yeah.
whole entire world, even Africa, I seen like crazy. I'm like, what? Anyway, so we're going on chapter 10. What did you think about chapter 10?
Let me see. What did I write for this? Overall, I wrote a
Mm-hmm.
lot of notes though. Oh, I did like this chapter because I like how he mentioned the small steps, how it started small, and he kind of like explained the build up.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this chapter was really interesting.
Can you break down the build up for me? Because that's kind of like, it's a lot, but if you could break it down, we can make it like very short.
Yeah, so he talks about a nation. So in the chapter where it says, or section where it says Baal comes to America,
Mm-hmm.
it says he started it with saying, what would be the sign of his coming? Baal was the god of apostasy. And a little bit further down, he kind of starts to explain the turning away from a nation from God into the God often begins with the smallest steps
Mm-hmm.
and almost imperceptible shifting. And that to me is like, you know how people say, but oh, it's not that serious. It's just one thing. It's just one thing. But then that one thing just almost grows to a point where now America is almost unrecognizable,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So that's
They
kind
do
of
it
what I
small
thought
so
of with
you don't
that.
notice it, because if you noticed it, you wouldn't allow it, or
Yeah.
people would be against it. So it's like
Yeah.
grooming, like how they groom kids,
Mm-hmm.
and even groom adults, you inch it in there little by little, and they don't even notice that they're already doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's even like peer pressure in high school. Like, oh, it's just one little thing. It's just one little thing.
Mm.
Just do that one little thing. And then next thing you know, you made the biggest mistake of your
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
Um, but he explains that small step and he starts with schools. I'm trying to find the sentence. Um, let me see.
Is it on the front?
You said what? You cut out. I think you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
It keeps rebooting me, and kicking me out, and I don't know what it's doing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Um. Oh, hey, we have somebody talking. Hi. I see somebody. I don't know their name though. I don't know how to pronounce their name, but hi. I see you.
Hmm.
So yeah. So I think you're talking about children of Baal. That's what you're talking about.
No, no. Where he was talking about the smallest steps of a turning away nation. I found the sentence on the next page. He was talking about we're not only allowed to pray in public schools, but actually led in prayer by their teachers.
Where are we? Where did that
On page 43 at the top.
oh, 43. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was one of those small steps where they started kind of pulling God out of the out of the
School
schools. Because
systems.
I know when
Yeah.
I was younger, I think we spoke about this last session, but or maybe 2 sessions ago. But I
Mhm.
remember when I was younger, we did pray in school. When we first got into school, that was the first thing we did. Everyone would stand up and they would pray over the loudspeaker.
Mhm.
And America did used to be referred to as a Christian country.
It was.
And
It was founded on. Yeah. There
yeah.
was a documentary many years ago that talked about it, how it was founded on Christianity. I have to try to find it, but it was pretty interesting because then they showed how like they slowly like took it away from it. Took it away from
Mm,
like the schools and everything like that.
yeah.
Um, but it
Even
says
like
if we look at no, go ahead. Even like what?
sorry. I even put here, I put school, prayer, radio, and movies.
Mhm.
Because I know even my dad would tell me like there was a time on the radio where they wouldn't even play certain songs. Like if it had too many
Mhm.
curses
Oh,
or it,
really?
it had it gave a certain message. She said, I used to remember that. They wouldn't even play you on the radio.
Oh, wow.
But now it's like even music, like you can say pretty much anything and they'll play you on the
Yeah.
radio.
I
They'll
mean,
put it in
crazy
movies.
craziness I've heard. I think
Yeah.
that he actually mentioned that in here. I'm gonna read it. It says, if you turn the page on 44, it
Mhm.
says at the bottom, it says, well, I want to read Children of Baal because it says, when Baal was unable to possess one generation of the Israelites, he would focus on the next, the nation's children. Since children represent the future, if he could
Yeah.
take hold of America's children, he could take hold of America. So, by removing prayer and the word from the education of America's children, he was weakening the transmission of faith to the next generation. That's so true. He could
Yeah.
not separate the entire nation from prayer, from the word, and from faith and from faith by causing God's way to become alien to the nation's children. He could cause the alienation of America from God. That's crazy.
Wow.
And then
Yeah.
in the next one, it talks about what you were talking about. Baal's American agenda was not limited to its school system. It would permeate every sphere of American culture. Its major newspapers would no longer publish some summations. I think they're talking about
Hmm.
like sermons and stuff of the
Yeah.
past Sunday sermons. Its leading magazines would no longer endorse Christian values. Its entertainment would no longer uphold biblical morality. Same thing you were just saying. Its
Hmm.
politicians would speak less openly of Christian values, and its television stations would no longer promote prayer or present the ways of God in a positive light, but would now war against them. Praying to God or mentioning the name of Jesus in a public square would be increasingly viewed as hostility.
And that's today. That's the world that we live in today.
Yes, but
People
it
are
started
offended.
little and now it's like huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, people's ready to fight. I seen one
People,
guy
yeah.
like really like threw a punch and the guy ducked and I was like, "Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy."
Yeah. People are
Yeah.
offended by the gospel and it's like, well, and they'll like sort of be like, but what, like, what about me, and what about what I believe?
Hmm.
It's crazy. Yeah. But I wrote here
Yeah.
too, I put a little note that said,
Hmm.
um, the little things are important.
Oh, that's amen.
Yeah.
And I think even as Christians, honestly, we get pulled into it
Yeah.
because we think it's so little. Just like my husband
Hmm.
used to always say, we have all these people in high places and Christians just been chilling and lax. And
Yeah.
then they work their way up because they have vision and they want to reach these goals and they want to become senators and presidents and whatever, and they work their way up and we're just still chilling in here,
Hmm.
and when we could have took those places and did things, and stopped them from shutting things down. Instead we were too lax because
Yeah.
if we'd seen the little things as serious things, it wouldn't have probably been reached to that. But when I read that, I thought of the verse, Isaiah 5:20, calling good evil and evil good,
Mm.
when the Bible talks about that. you know
Yeah.
yeah, but that's all I think I had for this chapter, really. And that was chapter 10. I no, I was, yeah, I wanted to end on chapter 11, so you could just give like your quick thoughts on chapter 11. It didn't really have much on chapter 11. It just basically backed up
Me
the same
neither.
things.
It seems kind of like an opening to something, like he's leading up to something. He doesn't really say much though.
Yeah, he just basically says that America and schools and whatever became like a house of spirits that they were manifesting in and just like taking over slowly, like just allowing them to take prayer out of schools, open the door for him to
Hmm.
come in and flush everything out, everything God. And that's basically where God left America, because his whole entire, one thing he said about Baal was that his thing was to remove God from people that once knew God.
Mm.
So he came in and flushed basically everything that had to do with God out so that he can come in and do whatever he had to do. There was the last one, and then we can close out, but I did want to like touch on this. um I think it says empty houses and returning spirits. That's like on page 48. It says when the
Hmm.
nation removed prayer and the Bible from its schools, to some observers it seemed as a small thing. Same thing you were just saying. It's crazy. But the removal but the removal left the house spiritually empty, and according to the parable, it would not remain empty. Other spirits would come to replace what was cast out.
Right.
What could in time come into America's classroom would have been unimaginable to those alive at the time of the emptying. That's crazy though, because you know what I thought, and that's so true. Back then, when they first took prayer out of schools, to
Hmm.
where it's at now, it's unimaginable of
Yeah.
how that little thing, like you said, escalated to like where we're at now.
Yeah.
Like even
So
the
many
person who
things have
first started
changed.
that, right? Even the person who first like thought that, I'm sure like didn't know, like behind all of that, like we would be where we're at, and it would grow so huge as to push everything out and to be totally anti-God.
Yeah.
And it says the nation's children would now be trained against the ways of God. The American school system had become a house of spirits. It says Baal goes to Hollywood and everywhere else. So to American movie screens, having been emptied of God, would now be filled with that which is was once forbidden and that which warred against the ways of God. It would happen to American television, American universities, American popular music, American youth and children culture, American corporations, American houses of government, even some American houses of worship. Oh man, preach. Everything was darkening. The nation's institution, having been emptied of God, were turning into houses of spirits. And it was not only the nation's institution, America itself was now becoming the house of spirits. And he ended by saying, could Baal actually manifest in America as he did in ancient Israel in physical form?
Mm.
Yeah, listen, chapter 12 gets crazy,
Wow.
okay? Wait till you see. I was like, oh, ain't no way. I got to do some research on chapter 12 because it's really interesting. It's
So
really
that's our
interesting.
next.
Yes.
We're just gonna read 12.
No, probably try to do like 3 chapters at a time if we can, but we'll cover as much as we can.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks for this discussion. We didn't have much people, but everybody's busy and I get it. Summer's crazy. So hopefully that they can come and watch it again. But
Yeah.
that's it. We're done. I'll see. Should we do like 2 weeks? In 2 weeks.
Yes.
So, all right. Have a good
Okay.
night.
Good night.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.
Bye.